A number of factors contributed to the United States' decisions to drop atomic bombs on Japan. One reason was that Japan's unwillingness to surrender unconditionally. Japan wanted to keep the emperor and conduct their own war trials. It did not want to be occupied by U.S. forces. However, the United States wanted unconditional surrender, which thus meant that the continuation of the war. The U.S. had attempted to get Japan to surrender many different times, and even attacked Tokyo with firebombs to entice Japan into surrendering. With no end in sight after the Tokyo bombings, it seemed more likely that the U.S. would have to commit itself to a land invasion, which could have claimed many American lives. Instead, the atomic bomb served as a tool to bring the war in the Pacific to a close sooner. The Manhattan Project was a top-secret project that the U.S. was working on. The main purpose of the project was to attempt to develop the world's first atomic bombs. The project was successful on July 16, 1945. With no other options left other than land assault, the U.S. dropped the Little Boy, the first uranium-based bomb, on Hiroshima, Japan, the morning of August 6, 1945. The atomic bomb resulted in the death of 70,000 people, and many more later succumbing to burns, injuries, and radiation poisoning. After the first bomb, Japan still persisted and refused to surrender, so the U.S. doubled down on the threat that nuclear weapons posed to Japan. Because Japan had still not surrendered on the morning of August 9, 1945, a U.S. B-29 bomber carrying a plutonium bomb called Fat Boy to Japan. The original target was the city of Karuka, but a thick cloud coverage drove the pilot to a secondary target, Nagasaki, where the plutonium bomb Fat Man was dropped at 11:02. The result of the second atomic bomb was an expanding death rate of 40,000 people, and many more later succumbing to burns, injuries, and radiation poisoning. On August 10, 1945, one day after the bombing at Nagasaki, the Japanese government issued a statement agreeing to accept the Allied surrender terms that had been dictated in Potsdam Declaration. This was the official end of World War II for the Japanese and led to the end overall just a little under a month later. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki relate heavily to the Manhattan Project because the bombs wouldn't have been invented if it weren't for the project, but it also relates to the start of the Cold War because of the increased nuclear tension between the U.S. and Soviet Union following World War II.